This is Robert Martellacci of C21 Canada, and welcome to the C21 Canada Learning Series, accelerating the changes that matter for K 12 leaders and learners. And I'm in conversation today for a sneak peek at the upcoming Canadian EdTech Summit with Clive-Anthony Stanberry, a data quality engineer and a proud graduate of the Dufferin Peel School Board at Aloysius Gonzaga, just outside the Mindshare workspace. And we're fortunate to get many of their co op students here for a sneak peek on his career pathway as he landed his dream job. Thank you for joining me this afternoon, Clive.
Thank you, Robert. Thanks. Glad to be
This,
here.
no doubt, a busy Monday after Sunday football. There's lots of football and caught a few games yesterday. Exciting times. Week 7, I believe, we just ended.
That's right. Yes. It's been an exciting season so far. A lot of great teams, a lot of great storylines. It's great.
Well, we'll have to touch on that. And I was just in Austin with the executive briefing with Dell and experienced some F1 racing, Formula One racing, which was super exciting. But a little bit about Clive. He's a passionate advocate for the intersection of education and technology, currently serving as a data engineer at the NFL. He is living his dream, leveraging data to enhance the world of sports. Prior to his role at the NFL, Clive honed his skills as a data scientist, diving deep into the intricacies of data analysis and applications. Proud alumnus of the University of London, Clive's academic background laid the foundation for his professional journey. Today, he's excited to share his insights and experiences for the forefront of data science and AI and educational technology, inspiring others to harness the power in their respective fields. Well, and a member of the Mindshare workspace and soon to be presenter at the Canadian EdTech Summit. Geez, I'd like to think we inspired you a little bit around the EdTech space, hanging around our workspace, perhaps.
You did, and it was great. I mean, we connected on some of my experience, learning remotely and what the future education might look like with remote learning or combined hybrid learning.
And you did a master's degree as well?
That's right. Yes. So I did my master's at the University of London in data science and artificial intelligence, and that was a remote program, supplemented with different video lectures with the professors, as well as forums and office hours that you could, video call into. Um, and then, a different learning experience, not a traditional learning experience, but a great one
But
nonetheless.
you adapted, right? You adapted, and it no doubt wasn't easy. And but you discovered this program, and it wasn't your typical pathway that you took working with. And so Aloysius Gonzaga High School and the Dufferin Peel School Board, of which they're a part of, partner in C21 Canada. Marianne Maserato, your director, Dr. Maserato, she has a PhD, and you're talking about a PhD. So well, tell me about your thought process there.
I'm thinking about it. I am encouraged by a lot of the developments we're seeing in AI and ethics. Uh, Genuinely, every week you can find a new article or new research being released on progressions, in AI, and there aren't a lot of studies on the impact to people, how we think or how we learn specifically. So I'm still thinking about it, and another thing to think about is how I'll choose to do that research, whether in person, an on-campus experience, collaborating,
Yeah,
or remotely as well. So
fascinating. Well, we will be releasing the C21 CIO Alliance report on the future of AI and
mm,
K-12 education. So you, as a presenter, will get the benefit of seeing that first. And it's not too late to register if you're interested in joining us in Ottawa, November 2nd to 3rd. Now, so what was your now, coincidentally, I had a previous career in sport administration, and I remember the days when I was immersed with 45 teams and managing that pre-internet. I know I'm a lot older than I look, and but it was amazing to multitask pre-internet. Um, Computers were just accessible to us back in the mid 80s, and it was you know what electroset is? Electroset? You know what an
I do.
electroset? Okay, so electroset is, imagine getting a sheet and you have to create the words to make a poster on a sheet. It was electroset. So we
Oh, I
didn't
see.
have, yeah. So anything that you did digitally took a hell of a long time because it was by hand. And then we would photocopy these posters to promote Sport York and all the events happening at the university. So fast forward to today, and this is the exciting part of our summit, of which we actually have, and I'm going to share that in a moment. We have a special edition report that we released just this morning, in case you missed it, and featuring um, our presenters. And I'm going to share this a little bit. We had Michael, Dr. Michael Fullen, interviewed, who's the professor emeritus at U of T, former dean. And then I highlight a few. It's Media Awareness Week, Media Literacy Week this week. And so, 5 reasons to attend. You're going to connect with and network with experts and hear expert panelists like yourself, and partnerships and research trends are going to be very much part of the equation. And we have some amazing keynoters and presenters. You'll recognize some of the names here. And I'm going to scroll down to the fireside chat panel that you'll be a part of, which is super cool because we'll be looking at empowering innovative, sustainable learning environments, looking at the future faculties of education and the gap that exists in higher education. And when you were preparing for university, you and your peers, no doubt, had conversations about what that looks like. Can you,
Absolutely.
can you reflect on that time and what some of your friends are up to now and what they think of what you're doing versus what they're doing?
Well, yeah, that's a good question because when we talk about what, for example, learning on campus or the on-campus, university or college experience is like, and then how some of us had to adapt during COVID, especially to remote learning environment. There are challenges. It's not a very easy adjustment to make. However, after getting into that rhythm or getting a system that works for us independently, you know, then we found the advantages of remote learning, and it forces you to uh, it kind of forces you into that student led learning mindset where
Hmm.
you're pursuing more content about the topics that you're studying, and that actually allows you to enjoy the process a lot more. We found, um, but some people are different. Some of my friends, they uh, were best served by uh, hopping on a video call and asking each other questions and remotely, but still having that collaborative environment. And then some other friends of mine, they found a lot of success in the repetitive testing of themselves. So
Right.
studying, reflecting, and then testing, whether with digital testing tools or pen and paper. Now, what does the future of learning look like? I think flexible learning spaces are really important because that's what helps, each of us develop that
Hmm.
self-paced learning style and figure out what works best for us.
What sparked your interest in pursuing the degree that you chose?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, Coming out of high school, I was very interested in economics, and the London School of Economics was offering this distance learning program. So
Hmm.
mathematics and economics, completely remote. And back then, we didn't have any video lectures or online support. They would send us all of our textbooks and then give us an exam date. And it was an interesting challenge, but I liked the content. Learning about math and economics that way was definitely challenging, but I mean, there's it was such an eye opening process. I think it was scary, but I'm really glad I did it that way because I learned a lot about how I learn. So
Right.
that was useful for me, throughout my career and the rest of schooling, of course.
And taking ownership of your learning and an agency, and pursuing, your master's degree and then your dream job. Uh, it reminds me of, my philosophy around ownership, and it's a partnership. We can't put the onus strictly on education systems to help you figure things out, right? I think all too often, there's an expectation, but I really see it as a partnership. And you did some self discovery, and you found another master's program. Uh, the university was that the University of London,
It was also
England.
at the University of
Yeah.
London. Yes, that's
Okay.
right.
And that degree was focused on.
So that degree was now focused on data science and artificial intelligence. So like what you mentioned about the ownership, because yes, having a student-led learning space fosters some of that ownership over your own education. So now this master's degree, there was much more online support, uh, especially with some of the restrictions going on with COVID. It was there were many spaces and opportunities for you to pursue further learning, which I think was really important, because it allowed you to challenge yourself and wasn't completely self-paced, as there was a curriculum and dates and assignments, but it allowed you to sort of push up to the frontier of what you were comfortable learning, and try and go beyond some of the coursework. AI was a great subject matter for that, as new things were coming out very frequently, and I mean still are. So
Well, you were ahead of your time because all of a sudden this past year, ChatGPT came on the scene, and AI wasn't new as machine learning. It's been around for decades. But the whole notion around generative AI really caught education by the storm. And we are in the most transformational period in education since the advent of the internet, aren't we?
it appears so. I'm reading articles every week about different applications of generative AI within schooling, and I think I'm excited to see where it goes. But I think it does support the philosophy you mentioned of having flexible learning spaces, um, to help keep students engaged as they're going through the learning process.
Well, I'm excited about the whole personalization opportunity that exists. We just met with a company, a founder from France, that is looking to introduce some software, an app for kids with dyslexia
Hmm.
and really reading disabilities, and the technology that we see on a daily basis and the passion for people to make an impact, and that's what really we thrive on, is helping uh, ed tech companies. And you connected with one that you're now excited about, Inverio, who won our startup challenge last year, that is introducing hydroponics in sustainability into education and helping kids be engaged in that notion of hands-on learning is very much their wheelhouse.
No.
And we have one of the systems here that demonstrates that because we do embrace the sustainable development goals. Kids today are not graduating to get a job, they're graduating to make an impact like yourself.
Precisely. Yeah, and that's why a team like Vario has me very excited about the future of learning that way, because they're focused on collaborative spaces and hands-on learning, um, and pretty much giving students a platform to start and engage in student-led learning. So that's really exciting to see.
And that speaks to the focus around the summit of empowering innovative and sustainable learning environments for the future. It really harnesses all the elements that it takes within the educational ecosystem, be it the classroom layout, design thinking of the
Mhm.
furniture or the tools. There are some 200 to 600 apps that teachers have to choose from depending on what school district you're with.
Yeah,
That's
all
really
right.
complicated. We need to give teachers back time and more supports to help them help kids, in an equitable and sustainable fashion. Thoughts on that after what you've been through in your educational career? That's not done yet, by the way.
Yeah, that's it's a tough. Oh, sorry, it's a tough thing to answer, because I think you know the tools, the purpose behind the tools is what's really important, and whether it's helping teachers or educators save time, or bringing a new dimension to the students' learning experience. you know it's not often one tool that does everything, and so that choice
Right.
is easy to make. But I was actually reading an article by Andrew Ng recently from Google, and co-founder of Google Brain, and he talks about some of the best teachers are great at showing you where to look, but not necessarily what to see, right? And so,
Yeah.
as teachers are picking tools, or school boards are picking these tools, they kind of have to keep the purpose of the student learning in mind. How are we keeping them curious, and maybe guiding them along a path, instead of showing them exactly, or giving
Right.
answers as like maybe ChatGPT would, or just any out of the box AI tool.
Fascinating. Well said. I think that really says a lot about, you know, uh, educators who really get it. I remember going into a parent council uh, session where at the start of the year, and the teacher said, "I don't teach," and I was like horrified. Right? It's the same point. It's the discovery, right? It's in the journey. It's through the journey and the struggle that
Right,
you learn, right? It's not
right.
about the destination and getting that A that most people would like the kids see the kids get. Speaking
That
of a day in the life, I know a few people online might be interested in the day in the life of Clive-Anthony Stanberry and what that's like, working for the NFL. And tell us about, give a glimpse of to how you got your dream job, because you were like a investigative reporter in the process, leveraging LinkedIn.
yeah, I guess so. That's a good analogy. It's great that you asked that. I was just mentoring someone coming out of university, and looking for a role, and I would just strongly recommend leveraging LinkedIn, and maybe applying the method that I kind of stumbled into. Putting yourself out there on LinkedIn, it gives an opportunity to recruiters to reach out to you, and working with a recruiter when looking for a role is great, because you can get great feedback on your resume, on your profile, and you can also better understand what companies are looking for. The recruiter can advocate for you, advocate on your behalf to different employers, um, and once they get to know you, they can better understand where you might fit. Now, how does this help you land a role? Well, uh, maybe if you put out 100 applications to a role, maybe you'll get a response for maybe 10 or 20 applications, and you won't hear back from majority of them. But while working with the recruiter, you can actually see and receive job descriptions to roles that may not even be posted. And with the recruiter knowing that you're already a good fit, you can start to select which roles you want to pursue further or interview for, as opposed to, applying and then hoping to hear back. You can sort of pick where you'd like to interview. So that, I didn't know that, until, fortunately, a recruiter from the NFL had reached out, and we got to know each other and connect, on different roles. And then I learned how to, just get better at participating in interviews or better represent my resume through working with him. And unfortunately, uh, I had some great interviews with the NFL, and liked the team there, and uh, took an opportunity to join. So
And you're now living in New York City,
that's
which is
true.
kind of cool. We had a chance to have lunch together and catch up. And um, I was talking about off air that Tom D'Amico, who's the director of education in Ottawa Catholic School Board, is who's also part of the C21 Canada CO Academy, is the head off ice official for the NHL. And he was mentioning that they are introducing uh, AI into after piloting in the Ottawa Senators arena, and it's fascinating how they've got all these cameras now and sensors in the jerseys, and it automatically will pick up Austin Matthews taking a face-off against Kachuk
That's
and identify, pick up shots, and so relating that to education and the power potential is off the charts. Tell me whatever you can talk about your role with the NFL and how exciting that is.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's very exciting. At a high level, and actually, if anyone does tune into the NFL games, you'll see this in effect on the broadcast. So, like you mentioned, there are sensors or trackers, um, different pieces of equipment like shoulder pads or helmets or so on. And those visuals that you see on the broadcast, maybe a player's circled or highlighted, or you can see their route drawn out. That comes from that sensory data. um,
Right.
my team, we're focused on player health and safety. So we look at
Awesome.
that information and try to, make the game safe, continue to ensure a safe game. But it's great to see the
Yeah.
development improvements that are coming. I'm very excited if I get a chance to run into Tom to talk about.
Yeah, that'd be interesting sharing. And we're actually looking to go to a game because the Ottawa Senators will be playing on Thursday, November 2nd. So perhaps after your fireside chat, if you don't go on too long and speaking while you're on the panel, after the reception, we can dash over to the Sens Arena and catch a game and get an immersion. I'm sure we can probably get a look behind the scenes
Yes,
as well. Incidentally, we were talking off air. I was just down at the Dell F1 executive briefing in Austin, and I had the good fortune of meeting Mr. Michael Dell, who was extremely engaged, and he visited with our Canadian mission that was down there, and so fascinating how they're embracing AI and multi-cloud computing and cybersecurity. And we had the head of IT for the McLaren team, which they sponsor, speak to us about the sensors in the cars and how they prepare for a race like Austin. There are 600 sensors. So
that's
you probably have sensor envy after hearing 600
six.
sensors in a car versus how many sensors on a football player? How many would they? Yeah.
It's not 600. It's much less. That's very, that's very
so,
interesting.
so I get now. Do you think we can figure out putting sensors on me when I play my hockey to help me stay safer? I think there's an opportunity there with our aging athletes,
That would
and
be interesting.
that would be, heart attack prevention is probably one of them that my wife worries about. But I do play 3 times a week, and I'm relatively healthy, so hopefully that won't be an issue, and I can continue to play for many years ahead.
Well, of
Well, with
course.
that, Clive, what advice would you give to students and perhaps to career counselors, or they call them guidance counselors,
Guidance
about
counselors. Yeah.
the next generation students and what they might want to cater to? As I sense sometimes there's a bit of a skills gap there.
Yeah, I would. I'm biased, of course, but I would strongly recommend being open minded to remote learning programs. Uh, they're greatly enhanced now from the time that I was doing them. So there's
And cost effective.
incredibly cost effective. Yes, yes. I mean, we have great universities in Canada, and
Right.
the quality of the education and that in person connection is great as well. However, there are you know financial advantages. Depending on the situation that you might prefer, uh, remote learning or a distance learning program could make a lot of sense, and it is incredibly rewarding. So just I think more exposure, more awareness of the programs that are available might lean guidance counselors or career counselors to recommend remote learning in some cases.
Clive-Anthony Stanberry, you're an impressive young man. How many years have you been out of university now?
I finished my master's 2 years ago. So
Amazing. Well, you're on a great path to success, and I'm inspired to continue my learning. I'm thinking about a PhD, maybe not in at McGill because they just announced that we're being treated as foreign students, anyone in Canada outside of Quebec, but maybe I
oh,
can negotiate a special deal or a scholarship. But kudos to you for your leadership and your passion in embracing the future of learning and innovation. Um, it's exciting times for us, and we really look forward to hosting you at the 14th Canadian EdTech Leadership Summit, November 2nd and 3rd in Ottawa, Canada. And
thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited. So thank you for having me, and yeah, very much looking forward to the summit.
that was Clive-Anthony Stanberry, data quality engineer with the National Football League, a proud graduate of the Dufferin Peel Catholic School Board, where my kids went to school, and the high school, notable high school outside our Mindshare workspace, Aloysius Gonzaga. And until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep the learning curve steep. That completes our C21 Canada Learning Series, accelerating the changes that matter for K 12 learners in Canada. We hope to see you in Ottawa. And until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep the learning curve steep.